Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the live session of Let's Talk About Market, episode number 57. Sorry that I couldn't do the live streaming for past 2 days. That is because I had mentioned a few days back that we have got the SEBI registration. So we were preparing and setting up the processes of how to put out the advisory service and so on. So I had been slightly busy with that for the last 2 days. And also there is one important announcement that needs to be done, is that this live session what we are having, this probably now will be shifted in the evening at 5 p.m. The reason being that during market hours, the time needs to be devoted to more for the research, and that is why we are shifting the time to 5 p.m. from Monday onwards. So uh, so yeah, broadly that is it. And if we see the Nifty index, to be very honest, I was not expecting that the Nifty would break around 25,550 or so on. But once that broke, I think few days back we had discussed this possibility where a correction can happen towards the 40-day exponential average. That is what has happened. Now there are many important levels which are converging around this 25 350 25 325 sort of zone, and that is where we are now at. So what's the outlook from here on, and what are the data points that I'm watching out? That's what will be the discussion point today. So let me quickly share my screen, and please let me know once you all are able to see my screen properly. Okay, please let me know once you all are able to see my screen, and also if you all are able to hear me properly. Can someone please message in the chat box if they are able to hear me properly? Okay. Thanks for the confirmation, Devesh. So if we go and check the Nifty index, so if we go on the hourly chart, see, basically, I was thinking that maybe this channel will be held and eventually will rise higher. So in fact, even when the turnaround happened somewhere over here, I was hopeful that maybe the turnaround will happen eventually. But then the averages did not break on the upside, and from there we had a meaningful correction. Now what is happening from a short to medium term perspective is that one thing is that this sell crossover that had happened, now that has led to a completion of cycle. The other thing that has happened is that with this correction, the 40-day exponential average has reached. And also one more important point is that if you draw a trend line from this high, right, it has almost now retested back the resistance level. So the question earlier was that will it or will it not retest the resistance level? I mean, that was the question. I think we have seen this now. I am frankly expecting a turnaround from here. I mean, if it doesn't turn around from here, and if it keeps falling, then I'll be very surprised. And yeah, I mean, things can then get worse. But as of now, I think somewhere around this zone, that is of 25,350 to 25,300, I think an important support zone uh, is there. We'll also talk for what's happening in the sectors as well, because there are some that are breaking down and so on. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, as I mentioned, this is an important support level. Now, if you see many other data points for the extreme short term, right? If you see swing, average swing, both of this combination. Uh, so so this is the swing template that I have. Okay, so we are coming back to the 40. I mean, both of them are almost in this oversold zone. In the morning, actually, the swing reading was almost around 7 or so. Okay, from there now it has bounced back and it is now around 30, but it had almost reached this oversold zone. In fact, even if you see the diffusion indicator for percentage of stocks with RMI buy, that has gone down to the oversold as well. Okay, And the only thing that has not happened is that the percentage of stock with about 20 SMA, I mean, that is still towards the I mean, it has not basically reached the lower end of the range. Okay, so I mean, does that lead to some bit of correction? I am not sure, but almost 4 out of 5 indicators are, sort of pointing out that we are reaching an extreme oversold zone. Also, if you see the P, option PCR, so this is for the combined of all the expiries for the Nifty index, and you can see that in the past 2 days there is some bit of positive divergence that is now visible, right? That the prices are going down. Okay, the OIPCR has come up a bit, and if you see that somewhere around this point, this is 0.65, 0.50. I mean, those are the oversold zones, and from there, it has turned around. Now you can see that somewhere over here in the middle of the correction, this happens, that it reaches the oversold zone, then there is a bit of a positive divergence, and then you end up getting the move. So over here we already have this positive divergence. What I would be specifically now looking out for is a positive daily close. Okay, I know, I mean, if we get today, then it will be it would be very good. But because we are down almost around 150 points or so, so maybe somewhere over here I would expect that either today or tomorrow, on Monday, we should get some turnaround. Now this is where someone has to be a little more careful in terms of thinking how to trade. Because see, once the turnaround happens, when we get a positive hourly close, daily close and so on, so we would be expecting a turnaround. Okay, but initially the turnaround that would be expected will be till the averages, and once that breaks on the upside, that's where further more up move can happen. Because the fear would always be that what if it turns like this, right? I mean, that will be the fear. So as of now, frankly, I think that we are in an uptrend. Okay, so this is like a you can say a correction or a shakeout, whatever you call it. That is what I am sensing it at this point of time. The only thing where I'll be very watchful is that what happens if there is a bounce over here. So whether we are able to cross the averages or no. If we are not able to cross the averages and we end up breaking the low, then that will be the sign that probably things could be getting worse. But as of now, as I mentioned, I mean, the all the structures and the reading is all telling us that it should rise higher. And in fact, the short term conditions which have become extremely oversold, that should result in some sort of bounce also, at least in the very near term. Okay, now this is the first point. Now what is happening over here is that many of the indices that were strong, I mean, some of them have become weak, but they are coming to an important support level. Now say for example metal index. Okay, this was earlier very strong, but we have seen a meaningful correction over here. But now it is coming to the 40 day exponential average and trying to turn around from there. If there is a positive daily close over here, then the sense would be that somewhere over here, a short term bottom could be made. And again, if the hourly averages breaks on the upside, then you would expect that the up move should continue. So that is what I'm thinking at this point of time. Again, if you see PSU Bank, they actually haven't even corrected meaningfully. I mean, so that is the beauty, that the one which is very strong. In fact, metal had seen a correction, but PSU banks continue to rise higher. If you see the hourly chart, it almost came back to the 40-hour broke for a while, but again now again trying to come back. So over here as well, once we cross the 20-hour average and there is again a bullish crossover, the idea would be to think that it should rise higher. And just to give you a context, if you look at the weekly and the monthly chart, okay, so it was basically a all-time high that was broken, say, in Jan 2024. Okay, somewhere in Jan December 2024, and then there was a meaningful correction, and then now the up move is starting. So I think it has meaningful legs on the upside. So that is there. Now the other things, like auto was very strong, but after that, we have seen some correction over here. And I think somewhere over here now it is coming to a point where it is starting to look interesting. That is because if we draw a channel somewhere over here, so a little bit more of a down move is possible. But then I think we should be getting some meaningful turnaround over here. And also, if I draw this channel, so this is the reverse channel that we draw, right? Because we don't know where it can bottom. So that's why I've drawn a channel from high to high, and I have put the lower point. So it is over here. So yeah, so basically this will be the zone to think of a turnaround. Now the only thing, and a slightly more scary is small cap, because frankly I did not expect that it will end up breaking the 40-day exponential average. Now, do we consider it as a retest of a breakout and then an up move? I mean, this only time will tell. The only thing that I can see so far is that the cycle is completed. So from here, if the turnaround starts happening, then I would think that this correction was a shakeout. But if basically this low also breaks on the downside, then it might end up making it a false breakdown, and the consequence of that will not be that great. So I'm keeping a very close eye on that. But so far, if I have to look at the indices, I would say that the Nifty index is strong so far. I mean, over there at least we have not seen a sign of reversal. Even mid cap, for that matter, have come back to the 40 and now trying to turn around. So these two looks reasonably okay. Small cap is where the problem is, and that's where we need to see how things unfold over there. And then there are few places where a meaningful correction has happened, like Nifty PSE. Okay, over there also, we have seen a meaningful correction. The 40 hour got broke, but over here, we are seeing the cycle completion. So again, whichever places we are seeing the cycle completion, what we would want to see is that when the turnaround happens, do they break and sustain above the hourly averages? If yes, then it would mean that the turnaround is happening over there. If not, then what may happen is that there will be an up move, and then again there will be a correction, right? If the hourly averages are not break. So this is what I would be watching out for very, very carefully. What happens over here. But as I mentioned, that if we see the sentiment indicators, it have come, I mean, those have come to the oversold zone. And typically, you will at least see some turnaround, until and unless we are in a bear market where we don't see any bounce. I mean, that is not something that we think is happening right now. In fact, even what has happened is that the FIIs, they have again started to build short positions. Okay, there was this short covering rally that we saw, but after that, they have again started to build shorts. The only problem, frankly, if I see, is the global markets, where some AI trades are getting unwinded, and due to which, I mean, there were a lot of headlines that were made in the past 2 days of Michael Burry, who was the, I mean, in that movie of Big Short. So he has created short positions, or they have bought put of Nvidia and all those things. So those sort of news have led to some correction in the US indices, and also Korean market, and all those market had seen some correction. But I think when I purely focus on the data points, what is happening in the Nifty indices, it tells me that we are running into an important support level. In fact, as we speak, almost from the bottom, there is like 100-point recovery that we have seen so far. So need to see whether this sustains or no. And as I mentioned, for the Nifty index also, what I'll be watching out for very, very carefully is whether these averages break on the upside or no. If it does, it will be a very good sign. If it does not, then we'll need to review, how things are shaping up. But the only positive things that I am seeing so far is that, wherever the cycles were in sell, I think those are now getting resolved by coming back to the zero line. And if we see the higher time frame, they are in bullish zone, right? Yes, one can argue that on the monthly it is in sell and so on, but I would tend to think that until weekly does not give a sell crossover, I mean, we should be okay. And the only thing now that we would want is a turnaround to happen on the hourly and the daily chart. And yeah, so I am basically, pinning my hopes on Bank Nifty also, which has been kind of resilient even over here. I think if you draw a parallel channel, it would be trying to turn around from the channel. So there you go. It is trying to turn around from there. Uh, I frankly have a lot of hopes from IT as well, which has not seen the kind of move that we would want to see. But I'm expecting that somewhere over here also it should turn around, because in the weekly, this is the hurdle, right? This is the hurdle. I think once this crosses on the upside, that's where we can end up getting meaningful move. But yes, I mean, all I feel is that, we need to be a little more patient with IT, and probably wait for those turnaround. So I think there are a lot of sectors that can come to the rescue, if at all, the market goes down. So there is FMCG index as well, which has been sideways. So those have some meaningful position, I mean, meaningful weightage. And other than that, you have the other indices, right? They are already trending higher, like metals. I am also pinning my hopes on PSU. At some point of time, we should see a turnaround over there. And also autos, after a euphoric move post the GST cut, there has been some correction or consolidation. But over there, broadly things look good, and none of the important levels are broken on the downside. So those are the thoughts that I have for the day. If you have any questions, please do let me know. Okay, I can see that there are some questions. uh, Let me also address one by one. So a few days back, I asked if there would be a correction, which I sensed would keep me. Now I feel that the Bihar election will be a complete turnaround, catching late. Yeah. So Paul, I mean, this is what happens. I mean, when RMI is in sell, you need to take that judgment whether the 20-day will break or no. Frankly, maybe I was being too aggressive, and I thought that the 20-day won't break. But I mean, once it broke, all the levels came in a day only. So that is there. Uh, Rajan says, could you explain the logic of 40-day? So the logic of 40-day is simple, Rajan. See, whenever the markets are trending, okay, you will see that the 40-day won't break. Say, for example, over here, you will have those minor corrections, and those minor corrections will end up finding support at the 40-day. You can see over here, largely it was trending higher. So the moment when the market starts trending higher, okay, so wait, let me make this as a pale blue. Hmm. Yeah, so you can see over here that the purple line that you see over here is the 40-day. And you can see that whenever the correction happens, the 40-day acts as a important support level in a strong trending market. And from there, the turnaround happens. Up move, consolidation, turnaround. Up move, correction, around 40-day, once again, the turnaround happens and it moves up. So that is the logic. And once you combine it with the swing, daily swing as well, and when we are in the uptrend, so let me just show you. So see, whenever we are in an uptrend, what happens is that if the prices come to the 40 period and these indicators get into oversold, if both of them get into oversold, then nothing like it. But even one of them, if it goes to an oversold zone and a turnaround happens, you can expect a short-term bottom. Okay. Again, I'm not sure if you're aware about swing or no, but swing acts as a very, very short-term indicator. The relevance of it is from probably from 1 day to 5 day. So I would expect that if the I mean, once we start seeing some uptick in swing as well, and there is a positive daily close, you can expect that a short term bottom could be made. And until that low is not broken, you will wait patiently for the swing probably to go to the other end, to then anticipate that can there be a short term top or no. But yeah, combining 40 hour with swing works very well. Like you can see over here as well, there was an up move correction. In this correction, the swing got oversold. 40 was held, and from there we saw a turnaround. Okay, and this happens in almost every trending market. Over here, up move correction. In this correction, 40-day was slightly broken on the downside, and there was a positive divergence, and from there we saw a turnaround. So that is the importance of 40-day. I mean, you can see over here, up move, correction, sideways consolidation. So over here only, the oversold zone had happened. And just to give you a context, from 15,200 it went to almost around 15,600. Okay, so that is like a 600 point, which is like a 3-4% kind of up move. So this is the importance of the swing. It helps you to time very extreme short term tops and bottoms. And but yeah, the broader idea is that if the Nifty index is above 40 and the swing gets into this oversold zone, typically we have ended up seeing a pullback. The only confirmation that we would want to see is a positive daily close, and eventually, once the positive daily close happens, that is first sign of turnaround. The second sign of turnaround will be closing above the hourly averages. Okay, once hourly averages are broken on the upside, that's where you would say that now the momentum seems to be turning around, and maybe this short term correction which was there, that is done, and we should be headed higher. So that is the relevance of 40. uh, Mandar says, with respect to PSC, what you have shown, what is the cycle completion? Could you please explain? No, so I was saying that in general, wherever there were sell, okay, over there the cycles are getting completed. Okay, which means that they are getting back to the zero line. So the way RMI works is that there is a bullish crossover, it rises higher. When there is a sell crossover, it will tend to go back towards the equilibrium point, and from again when the turnaround happens, and it will keep doing like this, right? So all we want to do is that try to time those cycles, and uh, entry, and do the entry when there is a bullish crossover, and exit or keep trailing as there is a sell crossover and the setup breaks on the downside. So that is the idea. So if you see in many of the indices, that is happening. In mid cap it has not happened because technically the prices are not below the 20-day. Okay, in today's intraday we have seen that, but because this is also calculating based on the closing price, right? So over there we have not seen that turnaround, and that's why over here you are not seeing the cycle completion. But small cap almost there. The PSU index, if we see over there also, the correction has happened, but and in this correction you can see that this RMI has gone back to the zero line. So it relieves the pressure of a correction which was going to come at some point, because see, it had gone up above the zero line, and after that it was trending higher on the averages. But then finally, when this averages broke on the downside, there was a correction that we saw. And now whenever this happens, there is a bullish crossover, then you can expect the next leg of up move to unfold. I mean, a positive close is the first sign. After that, we would want to see whether the hourly averages are broken on the upside or no. And once that happens, I think we can be reasonably confident that a turnaround should happen from here. So yeah, so that was the logic. Deepak says, "Hi, good to see you. Can we have a look at financial sector? It is showing looks so LTF looks overextended. Also, can we see mid small cap 400?" Uh, so yeah, so as I mentioned, Deepak, see. it is trending higher. Okay, and if you see LTF that you're seeing, again it is trending higher. So see, what I would just try to say is that if the prices are respecting the averages, don't try to bet against that, because imagine when the market is collapsing. Okay, if these stocks are rising higher, don't try to bet against that. That would be the only point that I am trying to make. Because so while this move like look extended, if you zoom out a bit, you will get a different picture altogether, right? This was a high, okay, that was formed in 2017, and this breakout happened in August 2025, right? And you can see that the up move that it has seen. So always try to understand what is also happening in the larger picture as well. Okay, but yes, I mean, if you do some trend line work and all, you can be a little cautious. But okay, now I see over here that even this trend line is broken. So then the question is that, is this a breakout? Is there a fundamental shift that is happening over here? And why is it that market doesn't even care, and the prices are rising higher despite the market correction, or many of the stock collapsing? So there is something that seems to be happening, and that is, if you see across the NBFCs, this is happening. Bajaj Finance, it is trending higher. Shriram Finance, it is trending higher. So I mean, you should not ideally fight the trend then, until and unless you don't get the reversals. And if you remember, Nifty Financial Service is the one that we had spoken earlier as well, right? If you see the weekly chart, there was a turnaround that was happening. Sorry, this is monthly. So this was the weekly chart, and from here, we were talking about it, that a turnaround is happening. So you would not want to fight that trend until and unless it shows a sign of reversal. As of now, if you see the daily chart, it has come back to the 40, come back to the zero line. It's actually a very good setup over here to think of a turnaround. So while it might look extended, but markets can be crazy for a long period of time. So always keep that in mind. I appreciate that you explained various ways to look at the scripts like valuation, RMI, but how? But now it has become a bit confusing. I will appreciate if you take one or two stocks. So, see, Codin, please understand that these are different technique that caters to different needs. Okay. Now, if you are a momentum trader, you might not look at strike valuation setup. Okay, you might just be interested in following the stocks where the setups are good, where the setups are strong. Okay, which means that the prices are not breaking about 20, 40, and so on. That is what you would be concerned with. So in that case, you might not go with the strike valuation setup, because you won't get a combination where the prices are at -2 SD, but the stock is trending higher at 2040. You won't get such setups, right? So it is very important to understand that momentum trading is different. Strike valuation setup is more like trying to find a stocks where a decent correction has happened and valuations are on your side, and you are a little bit patient and you want to ride that trend, if at all it happens next. So that is the whole idea of strike valuation setup. So you should not try and mix both of them. Okay, that is what I am trying to tell you. uh, Now the question is that, can you give an example? Sure, I'll do that. I'll try to do that. So now, say for example, I mean, say something like LND Finance, right? Now let me take the chart of that. So now over here, if I am trying to trade by strike valuation setup, it will never allow me to get in based on that framework, because it is reaching an overbought zone. But if I am a momentum trader, I would love to see such sort of setups. So that is the thing that you have to mentally figure out, whether you want momentum stocks or you want value stocks, right? So that is the first thing that you will have to figure it out. Now the second thing over here is that, you now supposingly, if say you have decided that sticking to momentum is the best, so then you won't look at this setup, but you will then follow I mean, at least I follow this Rohit setup, where this page that we have put in, where it's averages and RMI that is plotted, and that's how you try and you try to find out the setups. Okay. Now, say for example, if I would be a momentum trader, right? Then I would like to see such setups. Okay. So you know that the PSU banks are trending, right? If you see Bank of Baroda, these are the kind of setups that I would like, which are trending higher on averages. Okay. But now, if I go and if I try to combine it with the valuation, this, I mean, Bank of Baroda, for example, okay, let me take that only. So, momentum wise, it is looking good. But maybe if I look at it from a valuation, it won't be favorable for me, right? Strike valuation setup, if I do, again, it is at plus 1 HD, so it does not give me that comfort. So again, these are two different frameworks and you should not be mixing both of them. Okay. So I mean, it is like trying to ask that you want an Apple iPhone, Apple iPhone at 10,000 rupees. I mean, that may not be possible. So you have to set the expectation right in that sense. If you are choosing momentum, look out for RMI setup. Okay. If you're trying to trade OI based trading, right, where you are trying to identify where is it that the larger shorts are, and those shorts will turn around, for that again it will take a medium term, right? So please try and understand what are the different aspects. If you go through those webinar once again, in all of them it is specifically mentioned how to use them. Okay, these are different strategies for different type of people. Okay, you can't merge everything and try to find a setup. I hope you understood this code. May I know whether Strike platform has a facility to plot specific option charts with a different expiry along with open interest? No, Rajan, that is not available. And anyways, plotting. So at the max, plotting of option price is what we are already considering, which we have documented as well, and which we want to do. But plotting of open interest in call, I mean, these are not possible because it ends up eating a lot of database and it ends up eating a lot of server as well. And on top of that, the options is too volatile. Okay, but in futures, you typically end up seeing a trend. If you want to see 2 3 days option trend, that is possible to see. Uh, in fact in fact you can see 5 days of trend. So let me show you how. Okay. uh, yeah, so this is cumulative OI. If you do cumulative and if you do all strikes, then it is showing you all strikes open interest. Okay. Now this you can see is for the particular day, and this, if you see, is the open interest of the last 5 days. Okay, like you can see over here. I mean, when you hover, it is 31st, and you can see it for the last 5 days. Okay, this you can do it for all the stocks, but over here we are not plotting the premium prices. Okay, all we are plotting is the spot price, and after that, how the open interest has behaved. That is what we are plotting over here. And this again, if you do the combined OI, that means we will be seeing across all the expiries. If you untick combined OI, that means you're seeing the call activity, put activity only for the month of only for the expiry related to 11. But if you see combined, you will see everything would have, all of this would have got selected. Okay. So that is the facility that we provide. And in option chain, if you want to know the open interest, so there is a chart over here, but that will only let you know the open interest and so on for for a day or two. So that is it that we try and provide. Okay. So, Coding says, so what are the parameters that medium to long term investors should look at? Okay. So, I'll tell you. See, one is the open interest. unwinding, basically the short unwinding, that is one strategy that works very well from a medium to long term perspective. Even the RMI setup will work very well. Okay, but please understand, if you're a medium term trader, you will look at weekly and monthly, I mean medium to long term investor, then you would look at weekly and monthly charts may, all this setup happening. And if you want to, so again, uh, if you're a medium term investor and if you want to chase momentum, then RMI setup, I mean that Rohit setup is the way. But if you want, something where you are more of a value investor sort of thing, then strike valuation setup will work well for you. Okay, so these two things. And again, so strike valuation setup is there, then strike valuation setup, then for short built up, I mean the whole thing that getting covered, that is a good medium to long term strategy. The other one is RRG. Okay, in RRG you have to specifically look at the weekly time frame. And two things that you need to keep in mind for RRG is that one is that it is relative. Okay, so if you see some stocks turning around, so it can happen. I mean, if they would be leading but the market would be falling, so it simply means that they are falling less. Okay, RRG don't guarantee you absolute return. It sort of tries and identify, underperformance, outperformance. And the secondly, when you are thinking of, using RRG on a weekly time frame, the relevance of it is from 2 months to 4 months kind of view. Okay, so when, I mean, that is where you would expect those, turnarounds to play out. So yeah, I mean broadly that is how you should think about it. Okay, Deepak, silver, I think we can talk that on India charts. Probably strike is not the ideal platform over here. We have already given an update for silver. uh, if you are an India chart subscriber, you can go and check it over there. But this is not something we can discuss over here. So I think with that, it's 11:40. I hope I have been able to address your questions. So yeah, from Monday onwards, it would be a new timing. Just for the reminder, it would be 5 p.m. That we will be doing this live session. Again, it would be same for 30 to 45 minutes. We will be looking at it. Okay. So once again, thanks a lot, and sorry that for the 2 days we could not do. That is because of the transition that we are going through. For the India charts, as we have started the advisory service over there. So that's where we had to make those transitions, set the processes, and that's where I was a little bit held up. So from Monday onwards, we can catch up at 5 p.m. and let's meet on Monday then. Okay. Thanks a lot for joining, and see you all on Monday.